got moves. Toronto's got moves. I like it. I like it. Good morning, good morning, good morning, or good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Cut the Shit, Cue the Genius. And today, happy Thursday. It feels like Friday. Why not? I think everybody is like exhausted and tired just thinking about going next week to IMAX already. But we're going to get through it. And we have a very special guest that on the show. We've been trying to get Bob on the show for a while now. So he's a very, very busy man. But Bob, welcome on Cut the Shit, Cue the Genius. You are our genius today with our audience geniuses. So welcome.
Thank you. Well, you just asked me now after 2 years running this show.
It hasn't been 2 years.
So long.
It has not been 2 years.
We're waiting for the right time. Bob, how do you pronounce your last name?
Vaez.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I've heard many different pronunciations.
Yeah, it's not Spanish, but people compare it to like Baez, Joan Baez.
Well, today our topic is going to be about bootstrapping your event tech firm. But before the show, we were the three of us chatting. Liz is in the background with us, and Bruno, Bob, and myself. We were chatting that there's bootstrapping not only on a supplier side, on the tech side, but there's also bootstrapping and entrepreneurship that we want to also talk about within organizations and within agencies and within independent planner type of ecosystems, because I think that's super important. So, but let's start out with bootstrapping, like, for example, your company, Bob. Like, what are the top 3 things that jumps to mind, like, right away when the word bootstrapping comes out, like, in a conversation?
Lack of sleep, stress, cash flow.
Yes.
No, I think we were just having this conversation. I also think bootstrapping goes both ways. It's not for everybody. It's not for every business, but also there's some businesses you got to have some external cash, or you got to be like Elon Musk millionaire and just use your own, FU money for whatever you want to do. But that's not really our industry.
Right.
So it's a little bit different. But I think for me, bootstrapping was not a choice. I started the company in 2009. You remember that time? Banks crashing, like market crashing, like it was impossible to raise money. And I used to work in Silicon Valley, right? So like you got to go raise money. Like if you don't have money, you don't even count. Like that's not even a real business. And I actually tried to raise money. I was naive. We just had an idea, and I'm like, oh, the next thing I need to do is go raise money. And everyone was like, well, how much money are you making now? I'm like, no, it's just the PowerPoint. Event apps, future of event industry, live engagement. So we couldn't, and I actually had to. I'm Canadian, so I was working in the States on a H-1B visa, for anyone that knows, or a TN visa that was supposed to get H-1B. But the funny thing is, if you start a business in the States, even as a Canadian, if you don't raise money, they don't want you there. So I started the company, and then I had to leave within like 2 weeks. I basically had to leave. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come back. Don't worry, I'm gonna go raise money, come back, because I love my friends in the States, and it was lots of opportunities there. But it was not a choice. It was impossible to raise money. But I think what happened was amazing. I think every company and I think every event agency sometimes has its stories, because a lot of our customers are on the agency side. Most of them used to work for a company as event planners, and at some point you kind of have to make that decision. Is like, today is the day I'll quit, right? And then I'll start a business. And for me, it took about 6 months of planning. I was doing my MBA on evening MBA at Santa Clara University, and I had a business plan. We had a couple of events. I had friends that allowed me to test our sort of first version of our event app at their event. So there was some level of confidence that I knew there was something there. And I really wanted to try it. Honestly, I didn't want to have regret in my life. And I'm like,
you didn't do it.
yeah, if I didn't do it, and I was convinced, like I loved events, and I was convinced this is gonna work. And I knew it was gonna take time. Like I knew it was gonna take time, and it wasn't ready for mass market. So I'm like, okay, I'll just move into my mom's house, and and she took me back for a year or two with my brother, and you know, we did some house chores, and she fed us, and we started the company, and you know, we started hiring people, and it just kept growing from there. And the idea of raising money, it just felt foreign at that point.
Well, so it seems there's a certain amount of passion that you really need to have, and like they say, grit, in order to keep on going on an idea, right? But do you see that? I don't see that anymore within our industry, or am I wrong?
I don't know. I think there's when things get really hot, which it did during the pandemic, for sort of event tech companies, and actually I would say for a lot of tech companies in every single sector. I mean, you have everything trying to become digital in like 2 months. So the demand was insane. So there was so much need that you get a lot of people that come into business because they see an opportunity, not necessarily because they're incredibly passionate about it. So I think there is that, but there's also a lot of people that are really passionate about what they do and the customers they serve, and it's the right thing to do in their, you know, phase in life, and they work hard at it and they succeed, and some don't, right? And I think either way, there is no. I say this to a lot of people. Sometimes I speak at a lot of these sort of business events, and I basically tell people there is no failure in entrepreneurship, because I failed 3 times before starting EventMobi, before this became a success. Every failure as an entrepreneur, it just allows you to be stronger and better for the next one.
It's a lesson.
It's a lesson, yes. But you gotta, going back to where you said, you gotta have that resilience. I think, and I read this at a Harvard Business article. What is it? HBR, Harvard Business Review. So I'm not the smart one here, but they kind of marked resilience as the #1 factor. I think after luck.
There has to be a combination there.
Yeah, and you have to be intelligent. You have to be strategic. I mean, there's lots of stuff, or you get good partners.
Intelligent, you gotta be. You definitely have to have some, but you don't need to be the smartest kid on the block. Honestly, I actually seen some amazing entrepreneurs in different businesses that don't even finish high school. So what is really intelligence? But what they are is they're really smart in a particular area, and they really get it, and they work really, really hard. A lot of, I think, success with entrepreneurs and bootstrap businesses comes from that continuous sort of dedication to improvement. So if you're not really smart, it just takes you a little bit longer. If you're really smart, you might be able to do it and learn faster. But I'm a big believer that, you know, if you like what you do and you work hard, you know, success happens. Now, success is different to all of us. Like we were talking about this, you know, joking about this. I'm like, my success these days is my sleep score, not anything else, because, you know, I'm mid 40s now. Totally different lifestyle than when I was 30 years old.
We're not gonna bring age into this.
No, we don't.
Or like how long you've been in the industry. See, you're even drinking your water, so you're good. You got sleep and you got water, hydration. There you go. That's the secret for bootstrapping and entrepreneurship. Bruno, what questions do you have for Bob? I know that you have like a page of them.
I'm wondering, well, we talked a little bit about this before the show. You know, why would anyone want to do it? What motivated you other than curiosity, or, you know, just, I don't know, what was driving you to start a company in an industry that you weren't necessarily born into? You had to figure out like how all the levers work in events, you know, all the pricing issues and, you know, all that stuff. And so like, what were you thinking? That's my first question.
I don't know. Don't we all want to change the world in some way? Or is it just me? I don't know. I think when we were teenagers and, we all think we can do anything we want, or they tell us we can do anything we want, then
Mhm.
you go through life and you kind of realize it's like, why is that person doing that? Like, I want to do that. And like, I'm not, I got what it takes. Like, and at
Mhm.
some point that combined with like a passion about something you really care about, something that's really fun for people, or something they know a lot as an expert, kind of comes in together. It's like, hey, I can make a change in a group of people and in an industry. And for me at that point, it was, I was in the mobile sort of technology world when it was kind of at its infancy. And at the same time, I just loved going to trade shows. Like, I would take every opportunity my company provided to go to a conference, to go to a trade show. Just like, for me, it was like Disneyland. Like, walking the trade show floor, it was like so I have no idea why. Maybe I'm crazy, but um, it's just, I found it fascinating. So like for me, it was, how can I make my experience as someone that loves trade shows and conferences better? And hey, I do all these work on these devices. Like, why isn't all this information here? And why can I network with people and all those things that kind of comes with mobile, which is where's the beginning of EventMobi. I had no idea how to run an event, by the way. I was just a happy attendee, showing up on time and doing all the things that you want your attendees to do. So that was kind of my sort of reason. But I think for a lot of when we kind of think about our industry, I had a really interesting post on LinkedIn. I don't know why I posted it. Just like I felt a little bit. I was thinking about my dad that passed away, and he used to be an engineer, sales engineer, and he used to take me when I was like 7, 8 years old, even to trade show, international fair, and he was repping a UK sort of electrical company. And I would go there as a kid, hand out swag at the aisle, and people loved me. Like, look at this cute kid. Like, I guess child labor laws were not that strict back then. But so
Not on the show floor.
yeah, not on the show floor for sure. So I loved events. I mean, that was my thing, and I think I wanted to change what I really enjoyed. And some people are into health and fitness. They come up with technology improvement there. In our industry, there's and I went off topic, but that thread, I asked people to share their earliest memories of like why they loved, why they fell in love. And there's some really interesting stories from someone that's like was like in college, and then they got they told them to go run this particular event, and they just like felt so empowered, bossing people around and making this thing happen that like no one had any ideas. And I think a lot of people find that, and someone was talking about even like running birthday parties for their friends. So you kind of like that. I mean, I used to play soccer as a kid. I really loved it. I thought I was going to be a professional soccer player. That didn't happen. So but
Well, what about? Go ahead, Delia.
No, you go
I
ahead.
was just wondering, I was going to ask you about operationally, how do you move from stage to stage? I know for a fact that it involves making critical decisions about what you should do, what you can do, things like that. So I'm wondering about the decision-making process as you operationally hire people, build things, run a business.
oh, we're getting to the hard questions now.
And also, I will let you know that I met my husband at a trade show.
Oh, you did? Oh my God,
Yes.
that is cute.
So there.
Is that like X-rated story? Can you share part of it later on?
Later at IMEX next week.
Okay, I'll be there.
He's probably listening. I'm waiting for him to chime in the chat now. No, the National Hardware Show. Woo!
Oh, wow.
Yeah, operationally, I think honestly, running a business, regardless. I've been doing this for 14 years, and we've gone through ebbs and flows in the business. I can't really say I have hit the high scale model of a lot of businesses, but the business has what we call product market fit, or just a fit. Is this a real business? Can you really run it? And then there is the growth phase of the business, which is, okay, I have a viable business, but is this a lifestyle business, or can this become a company that I don't have to make all the decisions? And then the third stage, which is, can I really make this big? Can this really be like one 1 in 100,000, 1 in a million type companies in my industry. And then you got the, Uber scale, which is, we were talking about, public companies and so on, which we have a couple of, companies in our industry that are in that range. So kind of going back to your question, operationally, how do you run it? I think you can't really get into a business unless you know something about it, or at least you've done some research, you've talked to some people, but you don't have to know everything about it. Sometimes people argue if you are if you're an outsider, you can actually make a bigger impact. I mean, Amazon is a really good story. He was not in the book industry, and he just came in with all the wrong assumptions, but he changed the whole industry. I think to some degree, we were the same. And a lot of, I think, when I think about event planners that are running agencies, they're kind of the same because maybe they've hired agencies before. Maybe they are in their company. They're actually, doing the budgeting for their events. So you have an idea of how to run an event. What are the barriers? What are the constraints and budgetary issues? How do you hire people? Where can things go wrong? I think those are really important questions. So you got to understand the elements of the business. And at that point, you got to basically say, what is the value I can create for that person? So I think, for us, it was about, can I get rid of paper and get people to enter this information online so that it can be on an app for people at the beginning? And then over time, obviously, we learn more about the challenges of our customers by talking to them, and then the product is completely different than what it was 14 years ago. So I think that beginning stages, it's a massive amount of risk for anyone, because you're either quitting your job and going to do an experimentation. And I always think you should have success metric, as in like, I'm going to do this for a month. This needs to happen. And if this happens, then I either question the experiment or I go into my second stage by month 3, then this needs to happen. So you can't really imagine success all the way. You kind of be able to say, okay, can I get here? For me, can I get 6 event planners to use my product for free? That was my first success metric. So is anybody going to use this thing for free? Is this even useful? And then I was hoping to learn from that and then come up with my second sort of goalpost. The process, I think, in that time is, if you can quit, you can put all your eggs in one basket, as they say, but it's pretty risky. Majority of entrepreneurs that I know usually start this on the side. So you're running you're still going to your full-time job, and you have this kind of side business going on. Maybe you have a partner, you get together on weekends, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, there's nothing to lose except your time.
And sleep.
It's sleep, yes. And also your family. I think we should talk about family, because I think it's really important. I honestly don't know how entrepreneurs with kids run such amazing companies. I think there's like a power when you have kids. You just become like superhuman to some degree. I feel really bad because we don't have kids, and I can't even get my shit together every day, every morning. I'm glad I showed up here on time.
But as a leader of a company and that started off with bootstrapping and the phases, etc., aren't there certain decisions that for a bootstrapped company, what I usually hear, especially from event tech companies, is, well, we don't have money to spend on marketing, or we don't have money to do X, Y, and Z, even though X, Y, and Z can actually bring them more brand awareness or bring them. So it's almost like you don't only become a superpower kind of, but you also have to have this very creative negotiation skill in order to make up for something that you would pay for, like marketing or trade shows or industry shows, etc.
So I would say there's three things when you're starting and running a bootstrap company that's super critical. Number one is cash flow. It sounds obvious, but it's so easy to get wrong because people confuse cash flow with how much I need to pay myself. And you got to figure out what your life situation is. and then everything kind of goes into the company, and you really need to understand how much runway you have. So how long can you last? That's really important. So the way we used to run, and actually to some degree still run it, is we use a 3x factor, which I think makes sense. So basically the model is you take your receivables, whatever people owe you, plus the cash you have in the bank, and you want to make sure that money is 3 times your next 3 months expenses. The reason for that is, I think as a bootstrap company, you're agile, so you can change direction fast. If something really happens, you have 3 months to get your shit together, reprogram yourself, find new customers, and kind of right the ship. So it's basically, you have a 3 months model to make this stuff happen. Sounds incredibly stressful to a lot of people that are probably listening. Is like, what do you mean? Like, I can't pay my rent after the 3rd month? You probably can't. Like, that's the level we're kind of talking about here, right? So for me, I had a 1-year life sort of saving. I actually cashed in my 401k, which is what I had in the States, and my RSP in Canada. And it was like, and I'm like, okay, I'm not making any money, so I don't have to pay tax on it now. I'm just like early retirement, except it goes into running an event tech business. But I knew exactly how much time I had. And then the second step is prioritization. Reading a book on leadership and running a company and stuff like that. And they were talking about like resource management is a #1 job of any company CEO. And I think it's even more important in a startup, except that before you can do resource management, you need to figure out your priorities, because you could do so many things. You can build new features. You can improve your tools for customer support. You can run an ad on XYZ. You can go to a trade show and get more customers. There's so many things you could do, right? So you got to figure out at what point in the business what is the most important thing at that, sometimes that week, like not even like a month, like right now, what is the biggest thing? And then you need to turn it into an experiment, because you don't really know. I think for a lot of businesses, now we have a model after 14 years that we can replicate, but I would say it's only like 60-70% repeatable. Most of the times when we come up with marketing ideas, we don't really know if it's going to work, and that's totally fine. But we need to commit to it and then go back and measure that experiment. And then like week 2, did we do that again? Did that work? No. Okay, let's try something else, right? I mean, this sounds
there's agility involved.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So compared to, I don't want to say established companies, but like that agility has to be at hand at all times.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's also, you got to keep it simple. So we read stuff on LinkedIn all the time. And now I love about LinkedIn is like every company and every VP is like, they're sharing their secrets of how they're running their operation. I'm like, this is amazing. We've never had this before. I had to read books to like learn all this stuff. I don't even know how the companies are now like okaying all this stuff. Like, this is how we do marketing at like this public company. I'm like, really? They're like publishing this like for everyone to read?
The secret sauce is not secret anymore.
But the danger is you can't really apply what somebody else is doing in a different business, a different stage in the company. So you got to figure out how to simplify it for your startup and your bootstrap business, even for your agency. Like, how do you get customers? Like, a lot of agencies are like 1 or 2 people at the beginning going. You can't run like massive marketing campaigns, right? So you got to figure out like the guerrilla tactics and things that kind of resonate with the time that you're putting into it, because your time as a founder is the biggest bottleneck to the growth of the company, because you can't hire people at the beginning, or you don't have a lot of people that you can rely on. So, you got to know your cash, know how long you have, so you're comfortable with the decisions you're making, prioritize what's important, and then allocate resources, to the right things. And the third one is talk to the customers. I mean, you're talking about, do we do marketing there or not? I'm like, I honestly don't know how some tech companies, and I'm not being critical. Like, I know how engineers work.
No, just be critical. Don't back out now. Don't back out now, Bob.
We don't talk to customers. Like,
we almost got him there, Dalia.
I know, right? Yeah. Sorry.
It's like, how can you start a company and just basically have a chatbot and like not call customers, and when they say they cancel their subscription, not talk to them, like,
or show up at their doorstep with a cake. I mean, like,
We were just joking about this. It's like, the difference between a VC-backed company and a bootstrap company is when you lose a company I'm not saying people don't care in VC-backed companies. Don't want to come across like that guy.
Don't back up now,
But
Bob. Don't back out now.
But it's not that important. When you have so much millions of dollars there, you just have to work on a different scale. Okay, I lose 10 customers, I go get another 100. That's okay, right? For a bootstrap company, every customer that we lose, we have a Slack channel. I see every single one. Our sales reps put notes in there. And if I don't understand why they left, I ask them questions. And at some point, either myself or somebody else in the management team tries to
go up with a cake, right?
Yes, show up with a cake at their house, because now everyone works from home, so we know where they live.
That's creepy, but okay.
This is why it's related to your sleep. Your lack of sleep.
Exactly. You're talking bootstrapping from a tech firm perspective, which totally makes sense. And then my mind goes into like an event organizer side, or like agency, or on the buyer side, right? Because that mix, that mesh of passion and resilience and curiosity and talking to clients, etc., should be adopted somehow, or something where it's on the organizer side, because you don't want to lose that entrepreneurship inside of an event organization. And ultimately, it's like, wait, you're not registering again for our conference? I am going to come with donuts, and I want to know why. Like, not leaving it for a survey monkey, not understanding what didn't gel, etc. So I feel like that entrepreneurship flair, or like some sort of bootstrapping concept, almost has to be melded together on the event side. Or am I wrong? I could be totally caffeined right now, but yeah.
No, I think even, let's say you're even a corporate planner and you're director of events and you're running an events portfolio. I don't think that's different than running a company, to be honest. It's first of all, you got to care about every single one of those events, and you got to really believe in your company's objective. Right? We talk about, the biggest challenge I talk about inside my company is that, the first 10 years of our business, I would even say, like the first 10 years, we were always focused on event engagement. Well, we got to make sure like the event engagement is like, we're trying to like create a better event experience. And I got to step back. I'm like, what is success to our customers? If they're running an association, it's about member acquisition. It's about member engagement. It's about customer retention. Or if it's an internal employee event, it's about employee engagement. So really, we're running these events for these bigger sort of concepts of our sort of goals of our business. And I think running a team as an event director inside a corporate company, or if you're an agency, it's the same thing. Like, you have these particular goals, and then you basically have to be like, okay, I really care about this. And then I want to make sure everything we do kind of has a positive impact back to my goals. And I think as a tech vendor, if we don't understand this, like, we are just barking up the wrong tree. And I'm not saying we're perfect at EventMobi, but I'm learning every day, like what is important. Like these recently,
that's part of the curiosity too.
Yeah, exactly. And wanting to do better, right? It's like, right. I feel like, what is success? To me, success in life and business, besides sleeping, is like, you want today to learn something a little bit more. You want to do a little bit better than yesterday, right? Yeah. I mean, this is life, right? We always want to kind of improve. And you got to have that. If you don't, then it's just a downfall trajectory for any type of business, event agency, or a tech company.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're part of a secret club? Because I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, things about, starting a business from scratch that other people don't know. You feel things and look at business differently. I think it's part of just sort of a club of entrepreneurs and bootstrappers. And I have this image of you finding other club members on the other side, like that would be your potential customers. And you're in this room and you got the bottle of vodka and it's smashed down on the table with like the 2 shot glasses going, we know things. Look, you and me, we're going to talk. You know, I don't know. Do you feel like,
I'm not so sure. I
because of
think
what you've been through, you're able to sort of attract other people that have similar experiences? And
Is it like is there camaraderie there, like
yeah,
especially in our industry? Because I'd like to know that. Like,
well, I
yeah, how do you
definitely
do it?
do belong to other tech CEO clubs, and majority of them are bootstrap, and we do talk about things in a different way than like public talks about, and a lot of our conversations are private because if we made it public, you get lashed on LinkedIn. But I think I don't know if it's a secret. I think it's just wanting to do business the same way you want other people to do business with you. That was kind of my model. I'm like, okay, this is not the right way I want customer service. So I'm not going to teach my customer support people to respond in that way. Or like, this is the level of product quality we should have. There's limitations. You have only so much money to do things in certain ways, but you got to have your own standards. So this is the way we believe we would appreciate to be dealt with if we had another vendor. And the best thing that customers sometimes tell us is like, if every business was like you, it would have been a better world. And I'm like, it's yes, it just makes your day. And then
that's
on the
the cake.
opposite side too.
That's the icing on the cake right there.
Yes. And also when people don't like what you do and they're complaining and you know why and you failed, it feels terrible. And then you just all you can do is just improve. Be like, I'm sorry, we're gonna do better next time. And
so while we're wrapping up here, what is the one thing that you would go back and say, if I could, I would change this as a bootstrap company?
Oh, raise more money at the beginning? No, I'm just kidding.
ask your mom for
Ask your mom for a
food.
loan.
I needed to grow my brain cells. I was a growing brain.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. The other thing we didn't talk about was people. Like my success as someone that runs EventMobi, maybe I would say that 2-3 years of our lives was very dependent on me. It's not anymore. And it wasn't after the 30 years. It's about the people I hired and the people that worked for me. And that really what made the difference. And I think as a CEO, I also changed. Like the person I was 14 years ago, as a young CEO, scaling a company for the first time, I made tons of mistakes. So if there was anything I would change, it would be about me, like trying to grow faster, trying to hire the right people sooner, and actually to let go of the wrong people. And I don't mean that in a bad way. We hired some amazing people that I'm actually still friends. They're just really good fit for a particular time in your startup phase. And the same thing, a lot of people that I have today, I would never hire them for a business, for a startup business, because they're just not the right people. They like need a different type of sort of momentum to be able to use their skill set. So trying to be a better or grow faster as a CEO. I actually got a CEO coach at the beginning of pandemic because everything was just batshit crazy. And I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. And I actually started working with them a few months ago, but I wish I had hired someone like that way sooner. I actually had a kind of a pseudo business coach, but I think all of us needs help. So the sooner we seek help and try to look inside and be like, okay, am I doing the right things personally? I think that's the biggest shift. I mean, that sounds really flaky as an answer, but I think as CEOs, we have such
not
big impact
at all, because
I don't people we hire, but it's first is us. Like, are we the right? Have we changed for the right stage of the business? And I think that matters a lot. So, anyways, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, this totally makes sense. Thank you so much for being with us. That's it.
Oh, I thought we were just getting started.
I know. We should have a part 2. Maybe we should get together in IMAX.
Well, let's listen to the audience, see if they really want me back. We got to talk to our customers, right? So, and then you can invite me again.
No, but thank you. And are you ready for IMAX?
We are ready. Yeah, I am so sorry for all the people that are getting so many emails and messages from me, because they're all going from me. So I think I sent 200 emails myself, and I know in the background we're sending. I think everybody has heard about us, but we're really excited. It's probably going to be one of the best IMAX since 2018, 19. We have over, I think it's getting close to 300 appointments. So it's very, very busy. I'm actually like panicking. Are we going to fit all these people in the booth?
Well, you can always bring them to our booth. So
yes,
if there's any overflow, we also have the Women in Events meetup. And obviously you support women in events, period, and women in event tech. So you have to come by at 4:30 every single day just to say
4:30 every day. Okay, that's
every day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But Bob, thank you so much for being with us. And we can't wait to see you and hug you next week. And then even Paul, yes, and David Branfield, there's like IMAX. Oh, he has IMAX FOMO, but that's okay. We'll take care of you, David. So
and my husband,
Rachel.
Yes, and Rachel's going to be there as well. I think another 10,000 of your close friends will also be at IMAX.
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, and we are going to have our next episode about IMAX. Is it next week, Bruno?
Yeah.
Or okay, then we got that.
And then the press. We'll be on the press.
We're going to be on the press.
Off the press.
And last but not least, we just wanted to share with you that our Cut the Shit, Cue the Genius podcast just dropped today. So we're going to put the link in the comments. And if you can give it a follow and a rating after you hear the first episode, tell us what you think. And obviously, if you want to be on the show or if you have topics or pet peeves from the industry that you want to discuss, it's unfiltered. So here we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and have a great, great weekend.
Thank you, Dahlia. Thank you, Michelle. Say hi to Liz. See you next week.
Bye.